Welcome! If you're watching this video, there's a good chance you're seeing if 2.8 holds any weight to the overarching narrative and retcons that the Kingdom Hearts series has become known for. And don't worry, this is spoiler-free. I think. So to begin, I'm going to clarify that this is more of a review of the bundle that is Kingdom Hearts 2.8, to let you know if it's worth even spending your money on. However, if it's too long didn't watch, you can skip to this time code for a final summary and answer to the title of this video. With that in mind, the bundle starts off with a port of Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, a game that made me weep when it was announced because I've just been wanting Kingdom Hearts 3 for the last 5 years. Originally released on the 3DS of all things, Dream Drop Distance has you playing as both Sora and Riku as they take the Mark of Mastery exam to see which one is actually going to be a Keyblade Master. The two go into essentially the dreams of sleeping worlds that are still or partly trapped in darkness. The convolution continues. There, they fight the nightmares of the sleeping worlds in order to make them into Tamagotchis. What? No, sorry. Dream Eaters. Silly me getting them mixed up. I mean, one has you petting and playing a game with them between fighting monsters, and the other has you doing that and cleaning up poop. So, still an improvement. These Dream Eaters were one of the big selling points of the game. Playing with them and leveling them up grants you points in order to unlock both combative and passive abilities like defense boosts, spells, or attacks. I personally didn't mind this at first, however, it takes a very long time to level these guys up enough to get their better abilities. When the top healing spell is stuck behind 30 levels and 500 points, and I'm also trying to get an ability out of 5 other of these Dream Eaters, it becomes a little tedious. There's over 100 of those buggers, and you've really got to choose what you want before you start training them. Except, you can only know what some of them have if you've played the game before because they unlock as you progress. My main issue with the game is the combat mechanics are absolutely atrocious. You have 2 ways of attacking, or so they want you to think, and the first is your standard Kingdom Hearts hack and slash. You string together combos with your Keyblade and unleash those special abilities you've been petting your pets to unlock. The problem is, without hours and hours and hours of grinding, those attacks are so weak, it'll take even more hours and hours of grinding to dole out notable damage. They hardly do any, and when you are being hit with swarms of enemies who are also canceling out your attacks, it just becomes a waste of time. The second method of attacking is the one the game actually wants you to use, and that's flow motion. This has your character sliding around and slinging enemies into each other for huge chunks of damage. Meanwhile, you are nearly invincible during most of these attacks, so, getting ganged up on doesn't actually matter. So why don't I just use those moves, I hear you asking? Well, it's because while it appears fun and useful at first, these moves never change throughout the game. It's the same thing over and over. You slide against a wall, you ping pong off to attack an enemy, you slide into a large enemy and you can throw them into more, but that's really it. You don't get newer versions of it as you progress, and to top it off, while you're slipping around, the camera is just fighting to stay locked onto you, so it's just a pain in the ass to even know what's going on while you're using these moves. And don't even get me started on them during boss fights when they take up most of the screen. This part isn't as much of an issue in the PS4 port on the 2.8, which we're really talking about, but it's still a bit janky when you get down to it. The only reason they decided to port it was likely because there wasn't enough content in the next part of the game for them to justify a AAA release price. My last point on this game involves the dropping mechanic, an interesting premise that I actually didn't mind. You play as both Sora and Riku, however you can only play one at a time and for a limited amount of time. After so much time has passed, the game will kick you out of one character and into the other. It kinda gives you a bit of a rushed feeling, like you've only got so much time to do this, so you'll work your butt off as one, and it just adds a little tension, even though it's not too serious, because when it kicks you again, you'll wake up from where you left off. My one and only issue with this mechanic is its regard to boss fights, because it'll kick you when you're right in the middle of one, or even if you've only got one hit left on the guy, and when you wake up again, he's right back up to full bloody health. Meanwhile, all your items you would save for that are still used, and your health is still down. So all that work was for nothing, and now the fight is even harder than you had planned. So, Dream Drop Distance, in terms of gameplay, I give it a 4 out of 10. It looks nice, but with all the grinding and the lack of malleable combat, it's just a slog to get through. That out of the way, we'll talk about Part 2 of 2.8, Fragmentary Passage, or Fragmentary Passage. I don't actually know how they want you to say it, but let's just go. After the clunkiness of DDD, this is a breath of freaking fresh air. Like, seriously, it is smooth, it is high def, combat is fun, and flows beautifully. In this, you play as Aqua from Birth by Sleep, the prequel to the whole series, kinda. But I'll get more on that later. Also, small spoiler alert for BBS in 3, 2, 1. At the end of that game, Aqua gets trapped in the realm of darkness, and this expansion, as I'll call it, starts off from there and has you, as her, simply going through it. You guys can come back if you were plugging your ears. So, Fragmentary Passage is more of a linear point A to point B with an optional and irrelevant quest list to do. It kind of just extends the gameplay if you want to complete it, but if you were to ignore these things, you'd probably finish in about 10 to 15 minutes. So it's really difficult to rate as a game. In all reality, it's essentially just a demo of what Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to be. I mean, hopefully combat is a bit more customizable in Kingdom Hearts 3, as that's always been a draw for it. In Fragmentary Passage, you kind of just get a taste of what it's all going to play like, but it is a decent change. But does it add anything to the overall narrative? Is Fragmentary Passage relevant for you to even bother spending money on to play? Well, the game has one more item on it, which is where I become a little bitter about it, and here's why. The third item is a movie, essentially acting as a prequel to the entire events of Kingdom Hearts. The thing that explains what the Keyblade War is and why it happened, but it really felt like it was a big advertisement for the Kingdom Hearts mobile game. If you didn't know, by the way, there is one, and thanks to this movie, it has now been canonized into the Kingdom Hearts universe. We even see characters from it appearing in Kingdom Hearts 3 trailers, so it does seem important, right? Does that mean you also have to slog through the energy crystals and spend real-world money on this phone game so you can beat it and stay up to date with the story? Not exactly, no. This brings me to my final conclusion. Is Kingdom Hearts 2.8 relative to the overall narrative, and do you have to play it to be in the know? If I had to say, the only game that is actually required to play is probably Dream Drop Distance, which you can also play on the 3DS if you bought that one originally. Kingdom Hearts 3 appears to pick up directly after Dream Drop Distance. I mean, in Fragmentary Passage, there is a scene at the end that kind of kicks off Kingdom Hearts 3, but I have a very strong feeling that it's going to be in Kingdom Hearts 3 as well to lead you in what's going on. It's just kind of the way it was set up. From a mechanical standpoint, I don't believe DDD is worth the effort to play through just to play Kingdom Hearts 3. It's too clunky and it feels like it wasn't completely thought out before being implemented. I'd recommend simply watching the cutscenes online so you can understand most of what's happening. In conclusion, is 2.8 relevant to enjoy the series? No. With a port of a 3DS title that didn't fix anything, basically just a demo of Kingdom Hearts 3 and an advertisement for their mobile game, you can likely skip it and not miss anything that would leave you scratching your head. I hope you enjoyed this quick look review, and I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on the games too, so feel free to leave a comment. And if you like my video, hit that like button, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. If you're new to the channel, become an official lord by subscribing, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.